Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
In the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox, that if they really wanted to go retro, the players would all use Sherwood PMP sticks.
Yeah.
I remember Northland and Coho, all those old
Coho,
brands,
boy,
Canadian.
I remember the Coho.
All of our guests today on this Thursday brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. They've hopped on board with Donnie and Dolly. The Giants are back in action at the LEC this weekend as they take on Prince George, 7:30 p.m. Friday night. Giants losing to Winnipeg last night. And it's Trick or Sweet night on Sunday as the G-Men take on Kamloops, 4 p.m. start. Have a group of 8 or more that wants to head to the game. The larger the group, the better the savings. Get all the info at vancouvergiants.com/group tickets. You wanted to say something about the Giants.
Let me get this in. Look at this, Donnie. The Vancouver Giants game against Connor Bedard and the Regina Pats on November 25th. Sold out. Reserve standing room only tickets went on sale this morning. Top prospects game in Langley, January 25th, Donnie. Tickets go on sale to the public in about a month. Season ticket holders getting first crack at them right now.
I would imagine Connor would be at that top prospects game.
Okay, but hold it. If they're sold out, how are we getting in the building?
Stick with me, kid.
Okay.
We'll be okay. Hey, but seriously, I say Connor Bedard is going to play in that game, and I think he's done some promotional work for the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I know John's standing by, and I apologize for that. But we remember the top prospects game here in Vancouver, mid-2000s. Sidney Crosby didn't show up.
Ron Toigo was something pissed when that happened.
John Shannon joins us now, NHL analyst and co-host of the Bob McCowan podcast. He remembers Cooper Alls. How are you, sir?
I'm well. By the way, if Toigo just gave away triple O burgers, it'd sell out every night. And by the way, that Flyer Oiler game, Donnie, I actually produced that game.
You did?
So,
wow.
Yeah. And the one thing I can tell you right now is, without a doubt, if anybody says they love the replays of the 50th goal in 39 games, never did a replay of the empty net goal.
Wow.
You let it breathe, I take it? Is that what happened?
Let it breathe. I let it breathe for 10 minutes and then forgot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was the only mistake you made in your career.
No. By the way, guys, just for the clear, we are live.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. What are your memories of that? I mean, John, you sit there, you go into that game, and you think, well, he's going to get his, the 50th and the 40th or the 30th. He gets 5 goals that night.
Crazy. We did, we knew it was inevitable he was going to score. Remember the real mark all those years ago, Donnie, was 50 and 50. Right? Mm-hmm. That was the measure of greatness, 50 and 50. Our color man that night was Don Cherry. He says, you know what? Could be the night. Mm-hmm. Could be the night that it happens. And next thing you know, 5 goals. Bill Barber always was worried that he would look bad on the empty net goal. But the fact that they wore Cooper Alls did compensate Barber, because we forgot it was Barber, and we all just laugh at the pants.
Yeah, he didn't have a chance with those things on. What were the Whalers and Flyers? What was everybody in hockey thinking back then with the Cooper Alls, which, by the way, the Flyers are bringing back?
No, they're only bringing that back for the
warm-up. Yeah.
For warm-up, okay? Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody would allow that to happen. Quite frankly, I think that what happened was they were given to them.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll give you free pants. Wear them, please. And every team was always looking for a way to save money, right? Yeah. And the Whalers and Flyers bit. I want to ask you about this, John. And we contemplated running this video, and we decided not to because it's uncomfortable. What was your reaction to watching the piece on Borje Salming from earlier this week? And for people who don't know, Borje, Leaf great, hockey great. Oof. He's suffering from ALS. He can't speak. That's a fascinating topic, because you look at what Chris Snow is going through in Calgary, assistant general manager. You look what former Canuck, former Maple Leaf Mark Curtin is still going through with ALS. And to see Borje like this, here's the thing, and you try to show good taste, you try to be compassionate, but at the same time, if we don't show people how penalizing, how punitive ALS is, perhaps we don't do enough to try to make it better. I had a long talk with Curtin about this one day, and I said, why aren't we doing more about ALS? Mm-hmm. Why aren't we? I mean, this has been around for decades and decades. Why isn't there better medicines? He says because all the advocates die.
Yeah.
So like there are cancer survivors that continue to advocate. There are people with brain injuries that continue to advocate, but all the great advocates of ALS pass away quickly. Yeah. And we need to find a way. We need to find a way to help with a cure to ALS, and we need to do it. There are those of us that are healthy. Those of us who are healthy need to do it on behalf of our friends.
Yeah. Let's stay on this subject, John. For people who don't know, what does Borje Salming mean to Swedish hockey, to hockey in general, and to the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, Borje Salming was the first great Swede to come to the National Hockey League. In many ways, he was a pioneer of European players, not just Swedes, but European players to come and be prolific and prove that all the thoughts that we had about how the Europeans weren't as good as us, they weren't as tough as us, all those fairy tales, Borje Salming disproved. Borje Salming was one of the greatest athletes I ever saw play the game. Borje Salming was one of the toughest athletes I ever saw play the game. And probably because of the era he played in, did not get the notice, A, because he played on a team that didn't win championships, and B, because he wasn't Canadian or American, which is a shame in our game because it has become such a worldwide game. We went from having Borje Salming and Inge Hammerstrom as two Europeans to 30% of the players in the NHL are now Europeans, and Borje, for sure, Borje was a pioneer of that.
John, not a good start here in Vancouver, as you well know, 0-3-1. Jim Rutherford told us yesterday, I'm a very patient man. But where do you think his patience level is with this start, and how long is he going to sit pat?
Well, I think you have to give this team a chance to play at home a bit.
Yep.
I think we've touched on this before. What a debacle is to start 5 or 6 games on the road. It's just not fair.
Exactly.
It's not right. And I suspect that Patrick and whoever he's assigned to it to manage the schedule for next year has already all over the schedule maker to say, hey, listen, we're starting at home. We're not doing any of this stuff because this is 2 years in a row. They started on the road, and look at the fallout. But they need to get some home cooking. They need to be in front of those avid Canuck fans, and then so I guess my answer is ask me in a month. Yeah. Because if this continues, then there is going to be an impatience factor. I can tell you right now, and I have seen it firsthand with Jimmy because when Mike Johnston was the coach of the Penguins, they were clamoring for months and months and months to get rid of Mike Johnston, get rid of Mike. Mike's not good enough, and Jimmy sat with them and was patient with his roster until the breaking point wasn't until Mike Sullivan got hired, I think, in January. But what Jim wants to be able to do is let this roster and let this coaching staff find its footing. That's the old school in Rutherford more than anything else, I think.
John, what happened in Toronto this week, amazing. Sheldon Keefe comes out, rips his star players, and then apologizes for it. If you want to know the power of star players, there's a classic example this week of how important they are and the big voice they have.
Well, I'll tell you what. Mitch Marner hasn't been good enough, and Austin Matthews hasn't been good enough.
But they got the coach to retract his comments.
Well, I don't know. I didn't hear him truly retract his comments. I think
he softened it up.
He did, and because because here what's happening now.
Yeah.
And this is not just in Toronto. This is everywhere. Is that somebody says something and it gets blown out of proportion 10 times over more than anything else everywhere. Yeah. He wasn't wrong in what he said.
No.
But at the same time, then in a media crazed market like Vancouver, a media crazed market like Toronto, where the passion comes out of the concrete, you're going to have 16 reporters ask you the same question 17 ways. and then then it gets interpreted 23 different ways.
Yep.
So it's one of those ones where, hey, Marner and Matthews talked to the coach. They sorted it out. Okay, good. Deal with it. Now you play Dallas on a Thursday night. You better play bloody better. That's the bottom line.
If they don't, though, that's a whole lot of fun for the media. Hey, John.
Losing is always more fun for the media.
Oh, yeah, as long as it doesn't, last about 40 years or 50 years. Hey,
11.
Or 55, right?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Gary Bettman says the NHL salary cap, John, could jump as much as $4 million next season.
Yeah.
Any idea, and that's a good clue, but any idea where NHL business is right now?
Well, Gary's saying business has come back better than ever. Mm-hmm. And when you look at buildings are pretty well filled, although there's still a couple of soft spots. I think that when you look at the new digital signage that is in broadcast now, there are a lot of revenue streams that are pointed in the right direction for the National Hockey League. We're seeing the TV revenues in the United States are up. So it's one of those ones where things have come out of the pandemic, I think, better than a lot of people have anticipated. And now we have collective bargaining peace until 2026 at least. So there's a real perception that hockey's going in the right direction.
John, as always, thanks for this. And
by the way, the best retro jersey, in my opinion, San Jose.
We agree on something. That was my number one. Yeah.
Yep. It to me to pay homage to the Seals, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, this is going to upset Ryan and Rick because you're agreeing with me, but
that and Johnny Canuck. Come on.
Yeah.
How do you not beat Johnny Canuck?
Yeah. You can't. You can't. You're absolutely right.
Phil Maloney, Billy McNeil. Come on.
Ron Hutchison. I could go on and on. Kiki Mortson.
Guys, nothing better than Kiki Mortson.
There you go. Hey, John, thanks to this. And I was going to say moments ago, but God bless Borje Salming.
Yeah.
Well, he should be in all of our prayers, that's for sure, and so should all the others of this terrible, terrible, terrible illness.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.